All right, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whenever you hear this message, I pray that you're poised to receive, to accept, and to respond to words of wisdom. Ashe. Today, I got a lesson for you. This is a great lesson because it is going to have a powerful impact on the African American exploration of and journey into the Orisha tradition, both personally and collectively. And it's a I'll say this is a twofold lesson. The first fold of the lesson actually, from my observation, starts to stir from the very beginning a person is exposed to the Orisha tradition. Meaning, chances are you got introduced to the Orisha tradition by being exposed to the Orisha themselves. You heard about Shango, Oya, Ashun, or Batala, etc., and their exploits, their attributes. Maybe you saw the dancing, and somebody was in the regalia. And then, if that weren't enough, you realized that each Orisha could be, or each person can be associated with an Orisha. That people have their own guiding Orisha, right? And so that starts this beginning of a lesson. Most people never articulate the lesson, but this is the lesson that comes from those stirrings and those inklings that you get when you get exposed to the Orisha. And the lesson is that this is not one size fits all. When you practice in a Christian world, it's one size fits all. It's cookie cutter. There's one Bible, and it's an operating manual that tells everybody how to follow the all paths that converge onto Jesus. Right? And that's pretty much how it goes. There's a lot of things that happen in the Bible and a lot of different people and blah, blah, blah. But really, if you boil it all the way down, you follow the Bible to be able to serve Jesus. That's it. Everybody. Well, when you start hearing this Shango and Obatala and Ogun and Olokun and Ajay and all that, you realize, nah, this is negotiable. This is negotiable. The journey toward the fulfillment of my destiny is negotiable. Somewhere in your mind, that lesson becomes apparent as you start to explore the Orisha tradition. My destiny, the fulfillment of my destiny is negotiable. All right. Now, that is a precursor to the actual lesson that I want to share with you today. And the actual lesson is about the fact that you got to know, what are you negotiating? That's the more sophisticated, nuanced part of the equation. What are you negotiating? You see, because in a negotiation, by definition, you got multiple parties. You got two or more parties that come together, and everybody wants something or needs something, and they've got to communicate back and forth to determine what each person's going to give in order for everybody to get something. Everybody's going to have to give so that everybody can get. And most people are going to know what they want to get, right? But the difficulty arises when you start to do the math on what you're going to have to give up. But we also get, right, that lesson becomes apparent to us because we have to sacrifice, right? You go for divination. Ifa says this, Ifa says that, and you're going to have to make certain sacrifices, and you're going to have to keep certain observances. Give up certain foods, certain habits, going certain places, doing certain things. That's all what you're going to have to give up in order to get what you want. So you walk into the negotiation knowing what you want, but there's no way for you to anticipate what you're going to have to give in order to get it. All right. So that's something that we start to get, aware of as we get readings and we do sacrifices year after year after year. But even with that, the real lesson is, what are we negotiating though? As you do this sacrifice, you give this chicken, you give that rooster, you give that fabric, you give that oil, you give that gin. But that's not what you're negotiating, though. That's what you're exchanging. In the process of making those sacrifices, sure, you give these things and maybe you get what you asked for. Your court case is resolved. You acquire this business. You get this house. You marry this woman. You have these children, right? But what are you negotiating, though? What are you really getting? What are you really getting? What are you really fulfilling in that process? Is it just that you're putting out fires and you're seeing this little thing ahead of you, 10 feet, 10 feet, 10 feet, and you're just getting, hitting benchmarks every 10 feet, but you don't have any idea where the path leads you? Because people will tell you, oh, well, you're negotiating the fulfillment of your destiny. But what does that mean? What happens when you do it? Is it only actualized when you die? Like what are you really negotiating? That's the real difficult lesson for you to start to grapple with. Okay. Now I've done this for decades now, and I've with thousands of people. And so I know what the overwhelming majority of people are looking for. I know what you're negotiating. I know what's on the line for you. I know why you need to do certain things, why these sacrifices and these observances are so much more important than the material that you got and the inconvenience of not being able to eat chicken. It's way bigger than that. It's way bigger than that. Okay? But you, as the seeker, must start to entertain that question within yourself. What am I negotiating? What is it that I'm really trying to accomplish? In the Christian world, again, you're going to be aware of the fact that you're negotiating your immortal soul, your relationship with God Almighty, whether you go to heaven or you go to hell. We don't have that. Oh, there's kind of like there's, remotely comparable, but it's not the same. What the tradition is offering you and what you can expect the tradition to provide for you is not the same as Christianity. So you, as the seeker, you need to start wrapping your mind around that. What are you really negotiating? I'm going to give you a hint. I'm not going to give you the answer, but I'm going to give you a hint right now. This is something that I know from having been your babalawo and your teacher for a couple of decades. For African Americans, and this is really actually a very good little segue to wrap it up, because the negotiation process, part of the reason why you don't know what you're negotiating, part of the reason why the people on the other side of the water don't know what you're negotiating is because the dynamics of where we are right now have skewed all the negotiation dynamics, have skewed all of the elements, the variables. So the American dollar is like exponentially stronger than the Nigerian naira. So they're always negotiating for dollars. It's the only thing that matters, right? In an environment like that, getting money is of paramount importance. It's far more important than getting money here in the United States, as odd as that might sound. But the truth of the matter is they need dollars. And you have access to a lot of dollars. So everything is going to boil down to money from that side, right? But one of the things that I know that you're looking for as an African American is actually identity fulfillment. What you're really, really, really fundamentally looking for, one of the things is the fulfillment of your identity. And identity is something that you really learn for free. You learn your identity in your family with your parents and your siblings and your cousins. You learn it in your neighborhood with your community. You know what I mean? The children in your area, the people you go to school with. Like, that's where your identity really is formed and informed. There's no way that you can really put a price on it. You can't. You think about it. All the little stuff that happened all throughout your life, those little anecdotal, impromptu situations that just happen over and over and over again when you're in a specific area with a specific group of people at a particular time. That's how identity is formed. It cannot be bought with money. But that's what you are looking for as an African American. That's what Shango means to you. That's what Obara Odi means to you. That's what being initiated to this or that really fundamentally means to you. It's not really about religion or spirituality and a lot of the vocabulary that we use. Truthfully. This is not the thing. You're still going to have to think about what you're negotiating, but I can tell you this much is going to get you right to the edge. You're looking for identity. And identity is think about it as a parent. I teach my children their identity. I pay to teach them. I invest the money to teach them. I create the experiences and the environments. I buy them the clothes and take them to the places and expose them to the people and make sure that they get the food and blah, blah, blah. I assume responsibility for making sure that they get their identity. So there's no way that we're going to really be able to exchange money for identity. So that means that the model that we're working with right now is destined to dysfunction, because the people over here, the buyer, the consumer, the user is looking and spending for something that the provider can't give for money. Can't. You can't get your Babalawo can't give you your identity by making this Orisha for you or taking you through that ceremony. It ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. So I say that because, like I said, that's gonna get you right to the edge of what are you negotiating? What are you really negotiating? Not what you're exchanging. What is at stake? What are you accomplishing? As you give and take, as you bargain and come to different agreements, what's really happening? What are you really progressing into, or you know what I'm saying? What is it that you're actually gaining ground or losing ground on? That's what you're negotiating. So the question is, what are you actually negotiating as you practice this tradition in this day and age? This is the $1 million question that will completely and utterly transform the way you practice the tradition and the way African Americans as a whole engage in the Orisha tradition. I guarantee it. So I'd like to open it up for discussion. What do you think we're negotiating? Personally and collectively, as we practice the Orisha tradition of West Africa, what is it that you think that we are negotiating as African Americans, personally and collectively? This is a question that I've got for the leaders, all the folks who are determined to improve the world through positive influence. If you're one of those people, I want you to find out how Oloye Obafemi Origuwa and the Orisha Lifestyle Academy can help you take your practice and your life to the highest level possible. Visit me today at obafemio.com or orishalifestyle.com, and let's start working together to help you live the medicine that will heal your life and heal the lives of those who you are destined to serve. I look forward to working with you, and I look forward to your answer to that question. What are we negotiating? Bye for now. Odabo.